Hi, fellow ship modelers. This is John Thompson coming at you again. I have a couple of new projects I've been working on. I've sort of taken a bit of a break from building ship models, but I did make a great discovery of a remake of some old Revell models. There's a company called Atlantis that makes remakes of some of the old Revell models. So one of their remakes was the Forrest Sherman Destroyer. Now, one of the Forrest Shermans I was aboard as a museum when it was at the Intrepid. It has since moved to Michigan, but I have two models. One I've completed, stock out of the box, and the other one I'm working on right now. I'm going to share them with you right now. We'll compare the differences. Here is the Forrest Sherman, modeled as the USS Edson. And this is essentially an out-of-the-box build. As you can see, all the parts are used in the kit. She is basically, it took me about a week to build, and there were some fit issues I encountered with this kit. Each model is unique in terms of the fit issues that you're going to encounter when building. That one particularly was stock and out of the box. This new one that I'm working on, which I'm going to show you right now, is going to be a little bit different. This is actually what I wound up having to do was assemble the entire model prior to adding any details. Now, this is actually going to be a lot easier to add photo etch on than you would normally do in any other steps. Normally you would do the photo etch in stages, but I had to because the way the fits are on this kit, uh, I had to basically build it first and then paint and detail it and then add the photo etch later. Now, there's going to be some problem areas that you're going to encounter when building this model, and it's in the tripods here on both fore and aft. And so I encountered that issue. But my prep work for this particular version, as you can see, it looks a lot better because I removed the stock molded on railings. That was actually relatively simple. There were a couple small areas that were difficult. The space behind the first funnel, that was a little bit tough, as well as the main deck. I had to cut off very carefully the molded on railings. However, in the process, I did lose the docking bits, the mooring bits. So I'm going to have to basically make new ones, which I sort of have an idea of what I can do, and I'm going to fabricate those parts and replace them. The model itself, basically, it's a simple kit in terms of assembly and number of parts, so it's not like those Tamiya models where you have hundreds of parts. Rather, you have 60 or 70 parts in the kit. And again, like I said, the tough part was in doing the tripods. Now, this one is also different from the Edson in that I also replaced the radars here. I don't know if you could see them in this, but if I turn it a little bit over this way, you can see basically the radars are actually done up in my first bits of photo etch. I had some leftover photo etch, which basically covered about the size of the radar I needed, and it was an SPS 40, which was common on the Forrest Sherman Class Destroyer. So I've been doing quite a bit of research. Now, I was originally going to add the missile launcher where turret number 3 was aft. However, uh, that involved a considerable amount of surgery and making the parts, which unfortunately I didn't have the styrene for at the time. And I just basically wanted to do this version as a Forrest Sherman, but with the photo etch on it, and keep the two models as sort of a contrast to what I'm doing. Now, I noticed too, or you'll notice on this model, uh, that I have not painted the waterline. I did that last. I did it the same way on the other model, and I painted the waterline last and did the bottom of the ship last. I figured for the handling of it, as well as mainly focusing on the assembly and getting the parts to fit first, it's actually not that bad to paint if you have to paint it that way. Normally, I'm used to basically doing it the opposite way, where I get the hull ready first and then do the ship above. But this sort, like I said, sort of was a challenge for me to do. They're different models, and I enjoyed building them. So, like I said, I've got these two particularly. uh, great models off of eBay, and you have to work with them a little bit. There's flash, there's stuff that you can replace, and eventually you do get better when you build a second one. This one here, I also painted the deck on this one. I used medium blue, Tamiya's medium blue, for that deck, and I discovered it actually makes the deck look a lot better than it did on the stock one I built. I just left it basically all one shade of gray. So as a kit, like I said, it's got its share of challenges, and hopefully I will show you the rest of this when I finish here. I'll show you again a little more of a close-up view. We'll turn her around. The screws, actually, everything was nice. The rudders went on nicely, as well as some of the other hull details. The prop guards were great too. They went right into a nice little slot. And other than that, it's not a bad model. The only thing that I would recommend doing is putting the hull and deck together first, and then putting the turrets on. Now, they give you turret caps to make these rotating and elevating guns. I chose not to go with that on both versions. I just basically decided to make them fixed. It was easier to do and build the model, and access to them once you glue the deck down is tough. There's two fingers inside the hull on this side, about here, and where my hand is here. My finger is here, amidships. So you have two pegs, which basically are on port and starboard side, which hold the deck down. Now, I glued the deck down a little bit at a time on here, and I did do a lot of clamping and rubber banding to get the deck to bond to the hull. Now, I did have some, because I removed the railings, the molded on railings do have some little bits of gapping, but the photo etch should probably cover all that and not be an issue. Uh, like I said, I definitely would recommend giving these kits a go if you are an experienced modeler. Like I said, you're going to be disappointed with some of the issues in the kit, but you can resolve them. And if you really wanted to, they lend themselves very well to photo etch and super detailing. So have a great day.